this should be one of your stranger videos, Sophie. Like just going.
I know.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it could be. What's your name?
Makenna.
Makenna. How long have you been drawing for?
Since I was 6.
Since you were 6. And do you doodle, paint, or draw?
This is a doodle. But
What kind
I actually sell my artwork, so I do commission work.
That's so cool. What are you, like portrait specialist, landscape?
I do a ton of landscapes, and then I do portraits. Yeah.
What comes easier to you? What do you enjoy more, portraits or whatever?
Honestly, both, because they're both natural. So like, there's flaws in all of them. So when you're painting or if you're drawing someone or something, all the little small things are good. They're in addition to it. Versus if you're doing like solid like cartoons or something, the flaws in it don't make it good.
Yeah.
But with like nature, it adds to it. If you have a tree that's crooked, it makes sense.
I get that. Well, who's your biggest inspiration right now?
My biggest inspiration? Like artist-wise?
Whoever?
Or just people in general?
Artists, people?
Oh, that's good. There's this gal called Starcreate.
Okay.
But she's lived all over the U.S., but she does a ton of graphic artwork. And so she's got some really fun style. It's all surf style because I think she lives in Oahu right now. So her stuff's really cool.
How long does one of your pieces that you do for commission take to complete?
12 hours.
And are you the type of, I need to get this done, I'm gonna sit down and
I just do
obsess?
it like through the night. Yeah, it's like midnight, I'm like painting something and I'm stuck with it. I'm like, I can't stop, I'm on a grind.
Yeah, but I also forget time.
Well,
so like time kind of like...
I feel like when you're doing like, I don't know, when you're doing something that you're really passionate about, all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh my god, it's been 6 hours.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm doing stuff like I do digital design, so I do like, I do logos and things like that, which is fun, but they're not as like elaborate as the other stuff I do. But it's cool because like you'll start working and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, my eyes hurt. I haven't blinked in like. I probably get that. You're like, oh my god, I forgot how to blink. Like I've been staring at the screen for so long.
Oh yeah.
When you're editing things, you're like, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've been here for 6 hours.
Yeah, my eyes will start watering, and I'm like, why are they watering?
Because you're so focused, your eyeballs are
in
open.
it. Yeah.
I recently realized I needed glasses.
Yeah, I had to get glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, either I'm getting older, I'm focusing way too hard on my eyes.
You focus for so long because you're so into it, which is a good thing. It's just like, forget. Like when I was a kid, I was super shy, so I used to go in the library and like during recess and stuff, and my librarian at my school, especially in elementary school, she actually, she had old drawing books that they go to donate them.
Yeah.
And so she'd be trying to get rid of like drawing books, and so she started giving them to me, and then that's how I learned how to do a ton of like nature, landscape, and animals. She's like, oh, there's this one about like all the different birds of North America and how to draw them, and so she'd donate the books to me, and I'd spend all recess in there drawing by myself. But it was a blast because it was something I loved, and then, you know, growing up, it was always like, oh, she's a great student, but, you know, she draws too much in class. And then I got to college and realized the one thing I've been avoiding doing is the one thing I'm really good at, so.
Do you think drawing is a crutch for social anxiety? When you get anxious, you go straight to your safe place and start drawing?
I don't think it's that. I think when you're inspired, especially as an artist, whenever that inspiration comes, you, like, act on it. And I think drawing has always been that thing where it's a way to express myself and not necessarily to hide from it. So like when things happen in my life, I'm like, if I see someone or I watch a movie, all of a sudden I have this like flush of emotion where I'm like, oh my god, like I could do anything. And then you start looking at all the stuff you have and you're like, oh, I could draw that, I could do that. And you surprise yourself with what you accomplish. Like I've drawn things for people and they're like, oh, it's amazing. I was like, I don't know how I do that. Like you asked me to duplicate that, I don't know if I could.
I also feel really good artists or artists that really obsess over their work tend to be more alone. Yeah. That's because you're passionate about something.
Well,
do you think that is true?
I would say I'm pretty social, but it's because I draw wherever I am. So like I'm here with a bunch of people, but I can be around people and still do what I love. So I like it.
I try not to.
I will say it's better than your phone. I think so many
way much better.
They're equal. Like it's a crutch where they go into society and they're like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go on my phone for the next 6 hours.
The calculator app.
Yeah, it's true. So it's like it's nicer when like if I'm at the airport, I've taken the train a bunch and I just bring my notebook. So I have like I have several different notebooks because I had this terrible thing happen. I was flying to Seattle and I had so much stuff in my hand. I was changing dates and I left my notebook somewhere. And it was the one that had like all of my work, like my really good portraits back from like 2013. And I freaked out. I was like calling all these companies because I thought it was at one of the stores in the airport. And then I finally got a call back from one of the storefronts. They mailed it to my house back in California. They said, I think we found your notebook. Does it have all these stickers on it? And I said, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. They said, okay, we'll mail it back. And they mailed it back. It got home before I did. But ever since then, I just have notebooks that only have like 1 or 2 things in them that I take places. Because I'm like, I can't lose all my work.
Do you photograph it just to be safe?
Yeah, I take pictures, but I don't think
it's not
like,
the same.
It's not the same. And like, you have a connection with your work.
It's like the NFT of your actual work.
It's true, yeah. It's like, okay, well, I know I made this before, but it's nice to have it. So you get to look through all the stuff you've done. And like, there's something to be said about making stuff with your hands. Like, I do painting, I do a ton of stuff. Honestly, I do photography. It's just one of the things that I've always loved. So it kind of works. It works, but you know, everyone's got their bias. It's just maybe happens to be mine.
My sister draws all day.
Yeah.
And I love her still, but I want her to not miss out on family time or because I'm much older than her, so gaps of periods will pass where I don't see her. And I'm like, man, we could have done something together, you know?
Oh, totally.
But whenever I come home, I just love that she's passionate, so I don't bother her. And she'll draw for 12 hours.
See, the one thing I learned, I started college and like in high school, I did a ton of, I was a Division I cross country and track runner. So I ran, I kind of stopped drawing for a while. And I got into this, like I was starting college up and COVID had hit and I ended up nannying for this family full time. And the kids were like, oh, can you draw this for me? Can you draw that for me? And I hadn't drawn in so long, I'd forgotten that I loved it. And these little kids like totally inspired me. So I was doing art class with them every day. And then I just started going, wow, like I really miss this. Like I haven't done this in a while. And I feel like, even like with your sister, it's like sometimes there needs to be breaks so you can appreciate how much you love your craft. Like you gotta kind of get out in the world, allow the world to inspire you so you can go back in. You know, you have to have balance. Like you're saying, like go enjoy the people that are around you because you don't always have those people around you. Like you miss those opportunities.
Yeah, I miss being a kid, you know?
Like doing things where like it's summer, I mean I got a Capri Sun, I got no worries and like I'm doing nothing. But yeah, I don't know, I think you have to have balance, but I feel like if you're a kid, you shouldn't be discouraged from following things that are passion projects because when you get to be an adult, they say, oh, follow your passion, but if it's an art, they're like, oh, I don't know, it's not really stable.
9 to 5 is not stable. COVID showed everybody that.
Right? And that's exactly
actually art was more stable.
Exactly. So it's crazy. It's like the things that they don't realize is that art is the one thing that you can't replace. Someone's drawing of an apple is going to look different from the next person. And to me, I look at that and I think that's really cool.
It's also a certain set of skills that you take with you instead of depending on a corporation to provide.
Well, and unique skills. Because you think about it, if you're a little kid that started drawing and you really got passionate about it, on average, I was probably drawing like 4 to 5 hours a day as a kid. How many people have that much education? And then think about the years that I spent doing it and you're like, oh my God, like I spent years like mastering this.
Yeah.
Like this, I do have a skill that's not just, oh, can you type really fast? Can you have work experience in customer service, things like that. You're like, wait a minute, like I have a specialty skill right here. Why can't I list that on my resume? So yeah, I started in COVID and when I was nannying, I started up a graphic company and I started selling my artwork again, which was really cool.
T-shirts? Or graphic company as in you draw your paintings and you sell them on merch?
Yeah, I sell like prints of my artwork. So like stuff that I just find passion about that I draw, those I print out and I sell online. And then I go and people like ask me, they're like, hey, like right now I'm painting a pro bicycler, like mountain bike helmet. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't think that was gonna be a thing, but then they're like, hey, I need this to be all covered in like hawk feathers and I want it metallic with gold. I'm like, oh, I got it. Like, no problem. And so like, that was really cool. Cause I was like,
I don't remember what the terminology is, but when you get so good at something, you can mess with the rules.
Yeah.
Where you are like, okay, I could bend. You're not supposed to do this as a beginner. Like, I understand the rules, but I'm bending around it. It's so cool.